Hi, welcome to the Nina Cabessa Live Show.
Hey, 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 Special dedication to each and everyone who watched the Nina Cabessa Live Show. Watch me so, make us so them believe it every time my music play it feel live. Greetings, proper fix, proper fix. I bring you peace, I bring you peace. We good to go, good to go. Good to go then in a Cabessa Live Show. What you gonna do? What you gonna do now? What you gonna do? What you gonna do now? Everyone, let's get it on. Watch the Nina Cabessa Live Show. Everyone, let's get it on. Watch the Nina Cabessa Live Show. Bring your wisdom to people in a comfort of their home simple. Say again. Bring your wisdom to people in a comfort of their home simple. What more? What more? Tune in, keep watching the Nina Cabessa Live Show. Yes, no problems, no problems, no problems, no problems. Yes, indeed. Greetings. One leaf it grow it ordinary snake head, hatchet the flying dragon, catch us good, say that. What up, what up, what up, what up?
Hi, welcome to the Nina Cabessa Live Show.
Hey, hey.
Hello, and welcome to the Nina Cabessa Live Show today. I have a special guest with me today, and her name is Dr. Celestina. I just decided to call it Dr. Celestina because she has done so much, and I'm never ever so proud of her. Today's show is focusing on abuse. Now, let me just say that abuse comes in different forms, in different ways, and it's not just sexual. However, I wanted to start off with the sexual abuse only because I participated in one of my friends, Kevin J. Marshall's book launch. It's a book called Running Away From Me. Now, I did mention last week that I'm going to talk a little bit into depth about this book. This book is a story like never read before. He's not only just telling you a story of what happened to him, but you get to actually see his life, everything. You're seeing life through the eyes of a 5-year-old. You're seeing how what happened to him affected him through his work when he started working with the young people, so many things. And I think it's beautifully put, and anyone who's gone through any abusing like myself, then you can identify and say that, oh my God, so this is what happened. So I kind of like to call it like a self healing books maybe, but there has to be a terminology. You're a counselor, so you should, I don't know what to call it, but it's one of those books that if you've been through an abuse and you read it, you find yourself in it, and you can literally say, oh my God, so I behave like this because of what happened. And it's actually here that, in one of the part that I really loved is there was an incident that happened in a cinema, and he was like taking one of the youths and things, and he shouted and he bursted, and as soon as the end he said that he realized that he wasn't actually shouting at the youth, but it was actually shouting at the person who did. Wow. Yeah, and wow. I was like, oh my God, that is so true. How many times have we shouted on people and treated people so bad, but not knowing it's not actually them, it's the issue. Absolutely. The challenge that we're going through. The person that abused us is the person that we're really not talking to. So yes, so we're going to be touching down on now about this book. Now, why I recommend everybody to get this book in the Black community, or anyone, but I'm focusing first of all in our community as Africans. Absolutely. We have this taboo when it comes to sexual abuse. It is happening, let me tell you. It is happening, okay? In your house, it is happening. You may say, oh no, my kids, it is happening. So that's why this kind of shows and this kind of books needs to. He did an amazing documentary, which I'm going to showcase just towards the end of the documentary at the end, but not now. And it's very good. But I want to read a part in here that I think I marked it. This is the part that I was talking to you about. So I'm going to read it. and hopefully you guys are gonna sort of like it. Hold, let me make sure that this is the part. Yeah, this is it. So this is just like straight after whatever it is, the cinema and things. Just like the way he's written it is so beautiful. It's like a movie. It's like you're watching a movie. It goes back, it goes forward, it goes present, it goes back. It's amazing. I just love it. So I'll start from this. For those of you who have bought the book, it's on page 189. And it goes, his face appeared again as he did every time I closed my eyes. No matter how much I tossed and turned, I could never shake him. His voice hissed through the night like he was right beside me. This was my waking nightmare. What I felt and lived every night in the space between dreams and reality. And then this is now kind of like him talking to himself. Because I felt like a child again, weak and still. I had no strength to fight tonight. The hairs on the neck stood and goosebumps ripped down my arms. I was paralyzed, my breath barely ruffling the sheets as I laid perfectly still. His hands smoothed my tiny face. He gripped my eyes with his fingers, and my visions became a blur as salty tears dripped down my face. His hands and my tears blinded me, and I kept them closed, but it didn't help. His warm breath suffocated me as he grunted loud on top of me and kept me pinned. His grip felt invisible, and I couldn't help but break under the pressure. "Don't move," he hissed in a violent whisper directly into my ears. Despite his warning, I tried to wiggle out of his grasp, but he kept me still in his iron grip. More than his words, my torrent of emotion held me captive. He was my brother, and I loved him as my own flesh and blood. I only kept myself from crying by thinking he was just angry, that when he was happy again, this would all stop. I wanted him to be proud of me, to love me like I loved him. I longed for him to be happy, and I wanted to be just like him. Then he moves on to again, he goes, I launched myself. So that's like his thoughts, and then he goes back into like his present state again. Goes, I launched myself out of bed, cutting the nightmare short. My breathing was erratic, and sweat covered my naked body. I glistened in the early dawn light, the golden sun barely appearing on the horizon. Even when I caught myself, like tonight, hours would still pass. If I was unlucky, it went on for the whole night. I sat on the corner of my bed, trying to control my heavy breathing and my hammering heart. In the beginning, I had cried every time I woke. I would sit and heave great sobs out of my chest, every nerve in my body on the fire. That was then. Now, I was out of tears. But I never understood why he had hated me so much. I twisted my hands in my sheets as the light slipped into my bedroom. Why did he do the things he did to me? I thought as my nostrils fled. What kind of a person does that to another human being? And then this is the part where he ended to say, deep down, I knew my outburst and my anger wasn't about Adrian. Adrian is the youth that he shouted at the cinema. It goes, my fight was with Dominic, and Dominic is the abuser. So this book is really, really, really deep, you know, and like, before I go on any further now, to bring my guests into the conversation, I would just like to sort of like play the outcome and few, like the extract of the book launch and what other professions and other people who knew Kevin had to say. So just watch this, and then we're going to be back in the next 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
The title of my book didn't even come to me until the end. I actually realised that's what I've been doing all this time. I've been running.
This book is going to be a real piece of solace for you. It's going to let you know that you're okay and that there are hardships, and if you're prepared to acknowledge the hardships and focus on evolving and growing, you're going to be okay.
Tonight we get the opportunity to celebrate the achievements and bravery of an inspirational and wonderful man who I'm lucky enough to call a friend.
You're not the one who's guilty because of this. So, and the essence of this book will start the conversation going.
It's good to talk. My personal message to Kevin and anybody is find a person who you feel safe with, because it's really good to talk.
It can basically shed light on the problem, so one can work out ways how to deal with the problem.
I even made a different name for myself. I lied about everything about myself because I didn't want to know the real me, because I was ashamed to say, you know what, I've been abused. I've been abused.
There was no anxiety, there was no concern, there was just a feeling of being proud that this young man is strong enough to share his story with the community, because what I've seen is that if people can see or hear that someone else has gone through a similar thing to them, it bolsters them, their own belief in their self-worth.
I just want to say it was wonderful this evening. I heard you.
There's going to be some people that struggle with it because it gives them too many truths, and you have to be at a place to accept them. But this will save more people than it would lose.
Hi and welcome back to the Nina Kabesa live show, and of course my guest has always been sitting through there, because you know I could not have gone through this actual program without her being there. As most of you do know, I have been a victim of sexual abuse when I was at the age of 7. It was a gang rape. So I spoke out about almost 10 years ago, and my healing process started, and here I am, you know. So it's good to have Celestina, Dr. Celestina Onye Thomas, because she's a psychotherapist. So hi, tell us a bit more about yourself. Let my guests really know who you are.
So I'm Celestina, founder of Floating Counselling, a qualified, licensed, practicing psychotherapist. So I help people with your mind. I help you empower yourself, give you tools, realistic tools, to be able to live life to the fullest and happiest as humanly possible. I mean, life happens to all of us, and challenges happen.
Yeah.
But if you've got the tools, you're resilient enough, then you would be able to overcome them. You have the strength within yourself to overcome them. And that is what myself and other psychotherapists offer, giving everyone that strength to be able to overcome whatever challenges life throws at you.
Wow, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. But one thing I like about you is you're a Christian, right?
Yes.
Wow. So is it true to say that, you know, some Christian can also use your service?
Absolutely.
Because there's this saying, and I'm just saying this with all honesty, because, you know, the Nina Kabesa live show is all about honesty. I like to be honest, because there could be someone out there, you don't know who it is that's listening, or may have been thinking that just because you're a Christian and you're walking with God, then you really don't need a service. Why would you want to need a service? Because you've got the Holy Spirit. So you and I talk on a regular basis, so we know that some people got to understand God is a spirit, but then irrespective of God being a spirit, we're still living in a very visible world.
Absolutely.
So we need to learn how to keep the balance.
Absolutely.
And this is like sort of like having somebody to talk and everything else. So what is now your point on African people? Because, you know, the continent of Africa is so blessed. I'm laughing. I'm laughing because you know what's coming. It is so blessed and it's got so many resources, but there's a challenge. There's a mindset challenge. You cannot, you know, what's the saying? Take your dirty laundry out to the public. You cannot talk your business out to people. You cannot tell people your business. Keep it silent. Let nobody knows. Father abusing children, you know, sisters, siblings, incest and everything. But you can't talk. Rapes happening in the homes. And you know, people in Western world, they talk about the stranger danger. But when it comes to African, it's not the stranger danger, it's actually the family danger.
Absolutely.
Because you have uncles abusing this and brothers doing this. So when all these things happen in an African setting, they hold it in. Now tell us the danger in holding things in and keeping things in and not actually opening up.
The way I like to explain, you know, what you've just said, holding things in, holding pain in, holding, you know, abuse in, not speaking about it. It's like if you get yourself a can of Coke or fizzy drink and you're shaking, you keep shaking it. Eventually it's going to burst, you know, but however, if you let it down and you open it gently and you pour it, there's a difference between it bursting and going all over the place and making a mess and it just, you are the one in control when you pour it gently. That's what happens when you don't speak out. If you're the one that's speaking out, if you're the one in control, then you can pour that, whatever it is your pain that you're going through, you can pour it out as gently as you feel you want to. However, when you don't speak about it and you hold it in, eventually it's going to come out. But you're not going to have control over how it comes out and who you hurt as it's coming out and who gets destroyed in that mess. That happens when it's,
you know, that is very deep, because that brings me back into this incident in the cinema when, you know, the person here, Caleb, the name of the person in the book, you know, burst out because somebody was doing something that they didn't like, and they just burst out and
shouted,
knocked down the hand thing they had in his thing, and got the young person really scared, you know. And even the all caseworkers are looking around. So yes, it's like a similar as well, like people that lose, like, you know, they get uncontrollable anger.
Absolutely.
And especially in relationships. Tell me about because the relationship gets affected a lot, because I know my relationships were affected because I was dealing with so many things that many people didn't even know. And, you know, it's like, if you're a man and you cheat on me, it's bye-bye. Why? Because I felt like I'm being raped all over again. The fact that you know, my virginity was taken away without me having to consent it, it bruised me. And it just made me feel like I was nothing, because in Africa they tell you that a woman's virginity is the pride, you know. And you see every mom that said, oh yeah, my daughter married, she was a virgin, and you're sitting there saying, I bet you she aborted so many kids, but not out of hate, but out of just thinking, okay, throw it in my face. I would never know, so what, you know, kind of thing. But obviously I couldn't voice it out. So that really affected me. So in any relationship I find myself in, I cannot stay in a relationship with a man that cheats. Because I feel like he's being that rapist, those rapists, and he's raping me over and over. And I even came around to start really believing that a man that cheats, or a man that has multiple, you know, women, whatever, he's not different to a rapist, because he's raping you, your soul. He's raping your spirit, just because you're not seeing it, just because those adults are consenting it does not mean that he's not raping you. Because I looked at it in a more deeper sense, where it's like, you're laying with me, but without a permission from me, you're going to lay with another person. That's rape. That's spiritual rape. You see, and that's how I managed to start now getting myself healed, because I finally found out why was I feeling the way I was feeling. Because the fact that I was physically raped, I did not want to be spiritually raped. So I had to keep pushing them away, because I felt like, okay, so you not want to steal the only thing I'm holding on to, which is my spirit, because they touched my physical, but they didn't touch my spirit. So I want to keep hold of my spirit, please. You know, that's the only, so that's how it became with me, and, you know, go on. But there are some other people. In my case, when I look at Kevin's case, it went on for a while. And that just gives me, my body just, it went on for a while.
How long?
4 years.
Wow.
So, to the point that he reached the age of 9, the boy couldn't speak. Couldn't eat, couldn't do anything. It's like acting up. Now, I want to talk about acting up because these are the things that's very important. What are the signs? Because abuse doesn't always have to be sexual. It could be that somebody is bullying your child at school. It could be that somebody is calling your child name or anything. But what are sort of like things that children do when you know that something is just not right?
Well, children will tell you something is not right in one way or the other.
Yeah.
So, for example, every child is different. So, if your child, well, first of all, parents, you have to know your children.
Of course,
you have to know
yes.
their personality, what
Of
they're
course.
really like, and you know, mothers, even when they're born, even whilst they're in the womb, you know the personality. You know, you should, anyways.
Yeah.
So, if a child is usually quiet, is usually quite a relaxed person that plays by him or herself, enjoys playing with toys by him or herself, and all of a sudden this child is flamboyantly out there, the personality change so drastically, or if the child is usually likes to sit amongst other adults, you know, likes to get into conversation with other adults, and then all of a sudden this child no longer wants to be with other people, wants to be by themselves. When you ask them to bring something, they don't want to go to other parties, they don't want to be around, just don't want to be around other people. So it's, you know, it just depends what your child is usually like. Depends
and then what's changed.
What has changed. And also in school, you know, is your child acting out behavior-wise? So is your child more alert in school, or is your child falling asleep in school? You know, what is going on? Because a lot of the time, you know, we as parents, we will hear things that teachers are saying, oh, this child was hitting this child was doing this child was doing this.
But we're not.
Are we asking that child why?
Yeah.
What happened? Why did you hit that child? Why did that child hit you?
Yeah.
Why did you storm out of the classroom that day? Why did you walk out of the school that day? Why did you shout at your teacher? Why did you do what you do? Because the child is acting out for a reason. And it might not be the reason that we as parents think it's justifiable. However, to that child in that moment, it is justifiable. It is just how they're communicating, because as babies, we cry to communicate. So as we grow older, they start saying to you, oh, use your words. Why are you crying? What is it? But a lot of the time, young people, they still can't articulate what it is that they're trying to say, that they want to say. So they will act it out. Even as adults, we still act it out, don't we? We still act it out by snapping at other people, by getting irritated. When really and truly, it's not that person annoying us. It's something within us that's been triggered. So, but then for some reason, we expect young people to be so put together. But we as adults, we're not all put together. You know, we still snap at children, but then we expect children not to snap at themselves, not to snap at us, not to snap at their peers. But then we still snap at partners.
That's very interesting.
So I think it's just parents need to just be aware what your child is usually like and what they are now, why they're doing something. Communication with your children is also absolutely important. I cannot stress it enough. Communication with your young people.
Which actually brings me to say, you know, I'm sorry, I'm going to cheat a little bit here. Okay, she has a book that's coming out. So that's why I say cheating, because I sort of like have read the book. And you did touch on communication in the book as well. And it's an amazing book. Could you just tell us the title of the book and the concept of the book and why did you write the book? Because me, I'm loving it and I can't wait for it to be released. So yes.
The title of the book is The Art of Disciplining with Love.
Yes.
And it's the way we as parents discipline our young people, especially in the African community, in the black community.
So we are focusing. This is what I love about her. She literally focused. So in case you think she's well-spoken and she looks so nicely, she may look Jamaican, or she's Nigerian, she's African, and I'm from Congo. It's just that we grew up here in the United Kingdom, which is the blessed way. So we got the best of both worlds. So her book, because I've read it, so I can now tell you about it a little bit. And I think every parent, you know, I think our generation, parents, because I don't really want to be dealing with anything with the older generation, because they've already done all the damage that they could possibly do. I mean, I won't call it damage. I think you guys have just taught us what you knew.
Yes.
So we thank you for that. But we also now have seen what you've known and what we have known.
Yeah.
And we've removed the bad and we now got the good. So this book is really for us, the young generation, those who grew up here. You know, you are an African descendant, read it, because as you were saying, it's showing people how to discipline with love. My girl, tell them, because me, if I start talking, I will tell you everything
in the book.
I don't want to say. So touch on the hitting part and the bad mouthing. Like
The negative, the way you parent,
oh, look at you those ones.
Those ones.
Yeah, you got big head like, you know, those ones. Swearing ones, those ones, yeah.
So the book is about how, well, when we were growing up, we were hit.
Yes.
And the damage that caused and the damage that it can cause. So I've touched on the book from the counselling point of view, so the psychological point of view, the damage that it's doing psychologically when you hit a child, you know, putting them in the survivor mode, which can cause PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
So I've touched on it from that point of view. I've touched on it from an African point of view. I've touched on it from a Christian point of view as well, because that's another thing that, you know, as Africans we hear, or black people we hear, you know, spare the rod and spoil the child.
That's the only verse they know. The Bible said.
The Bible said, I am allowed to hit my children, that I should hit them.
There's a difference between
Absolutely.
hitting and disciplining in love.
Absolutely.
God doesn't hit you. God disciplines you in love. You can take away things. I think I was talking to you that time about something happened with one of my kids. And I was with you and I was telling you, girl, this is what I've done. I've taken that privilege and this privilege and this privilege, you know, and I felt good.
Yeah.
And you know, the good about taking the privilege is they came back to the senses.
Exactly.
See, after it was, I think with this, it was about 4 to 5 days. They came back to the senses, and then we've exchanged, we talked, and things have now fizzled out, and it's gone back to normal.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that's discipline.
Absolutely.
As opposed to hitting, talking bad. Oh, you, I'm talking to you. I'm your mom, you know. You can't talk to me back. I gave life to you. You see, all those things are very traumatic. And the hitting part, let me tell you something. Me, when my parents used to hit me, after a while, it don't pain no more.
Exactly.
It don't pain no more.
And you know what also used to happen with me personally? I would expect it. So, for example, if I know I was supposed to be home for 4 o'clock, and I'm 5 minutes late, she's only gonna hit me.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna stay where I am
That's
and get
it.
home at 9 o'clock because she's just gonna hit me
she's
anyway.
gonna just hit me
so when
anyway.
I'm 5 minutes late or 5 hours
Thank you.
late, I'm only gonna get hit. So
Right.
I might as well do
Thank
what I
you.
need to do.
So thank you. So you see, this is what we're trying to talk about as Africans in a new country. I don't want to talk about integration today. There's another month I'm going to touch on that. It is very important to know that, you know, yes, we have ancestors. Yes, we come from another way of life. But listen, who told you that way of life, or even this way of life, is the right way? Nobody. So you have to have a notion, you have to have a mental health which is very sound to not know. If our ancestors lived that way for generation to generation to generation and nothing changed out of it, then surely if we carry on the same, I don't think anything will change unless somebody says, you know what, I'm going to write a book about discipline. I'm going to speak about my abuse. And all these things that people are doing is not because we grew up in Europe. Like most people will tell me sometimes, oh, you people grew up in Europe, you are being, what do they call it?
Too British.
Too British or wiped or something.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Hey, listen. Fear is really bad. I've had no one held a gun in my head and told me bleach your skin. I've had no one held a gun in my head and said, you know what, don't eat your native food, don't speak your native language. Nobody has ever done that to me. If I chose to learn about the country where I live, which I think is the right things to do,
Absolutely.
you cannot go in anyone's place and not knowing anything and just expect everything to be given to you. You have to learn the country culture. You have to learn everything. But in learning, you found the things that will appeal to you. And you'll be like, oh, this is nice. you will adapt to it. But there will be others that you will not be appealed to and you will not be adapted to it.
Yes.
I.e., in Africa, there are some tribes somewhere where people still eat raw stuff. And I don't want to talk about this stuff. And there are people still living in is it monogamy, where they can marry as many,
multiple
you know.
wives.
Yeah, so I'm not going to adapt to that just because I'm an African. So it's the question of knowing where you are. You have to be present 100% where you are. The challenge as well that I think we do have in our community, the mental challenge, is we are in Europe and we are constantly living 99% of the time in our minds in Africa. Now, as a psychotherapist, how does that affect a person? Whether so you're physically here, but 99% in your mind, you're not here. You're somewhere else. How does that affect the kids, everything around people?
It's identity crisis, isn't it? So you don't know where you fit. So am I British or am I African? Am I Nigerian or am I Londoner? What am I? And when you don't know who you are, what you are, you get confused. And when you have children and you're confused, they're going to be even more confused. Especially with the fact that because we're multicultural in UK,
Yes.
you know, the people that you probably have children with, they're probably not from exactly the same country
place
you're
where you
in.
are, yes.
So if you're confused as a parent, then your children are even going to be even more confused, because you know, one of you is probably Nigerian, for example, and the other one's Ghanaian.
Yeah.
So if you're Nigerian in UK, you're confused. And your children are half Ghanaian, half Nigerian, they must be even more confused. What language am I supposed to learn? What food am I supposed to eat? How am I supposed to dress? You know, am I supposed to speak French? Am I supposed to speak Twi? Am I supposed to speak English all the time? Am I supposed to speak Yoruba? What am I? Who am I? And in the culture of, you know, the fact that we are minority, as they say in UK, if you are not sound in yourself and you are not grounded in who you are, and in your family and in who your family and what your family stands for, then you will find a way to fit in somewhere. And I feel like that is where the gangs come in, because they help you fit in. They tell you your family. They tell you belong to them.
Yes.
But then that will only work because you as a young person have no idea who you are.
Yes.
You're unstable, you have no idea. But then if you know who you are, if you're grounded in yourself and your family, you know that your parents love you, they show you that they love you, there's communication in the home. You don't need a gang member to be communicating with. You don't need a gang member to show you love. You don't need a gang member to be the one that you go to feel like you're heard and you're important, or you're somebody, or you're something, or get respect from. That's another big thing in the street world, you know, respect. They want respect so badly. But then we as parents, we have to ask ourselves, why do these kids want respect so badly? Clearly they're not getting it in the home. If you as a parent respect your child, then why do they want to fight and kill other people just for respect?
To get respect?
Because they feel disrespected by somebody. So they want to stab somebody because they feel disrespected. Why is that so important for them?
That is so key. The things that you said, that is so powerful and very, very key, because, you know, maybe some people never looked at it this way, but what Tina is talking about the street gangs and everything, in a way, these people are doing it because they've gone through some form of abuse. Because neglect is also an abuse.
Absolutely.
You know, because I was looking through last week about all different type of abuses, and neglect came up. And financial abuse is also abuse.
Absolutely.
You know, so I sat there and I'm like, wow. You know, so when we're talking abuse, it's not just sexual. It's actually so many elements on it. So we have to look at it really deeper. And like my brother Kevin wrote the book, you can see that one of the traits that abuse people who've been abused one way or the other, be it sexual, financial, neglect, whatever it is, the snap.
Yes. Anger.
So this for me is a solution, at least one of the solutions to understanding what's happening in the street of London.
Yes.
It's abuse.
Absolutely.
So we have to now start learning to look at it in a different way.
Absolutely.
You know, and to some cases will be a bit too late, but other cases there will always be hopes and changes. But for those who have not reached there yet, this is the reason why you should get, Anthony Kevin's book, and you should get Tina's book. You should be talking about it. There will be some information which will be given to you towards the end of the show. It's very, very important. Don't get involved into gangs. You know, if you feel rejected, if you feel that you're not respected at home, if you feel like your family, your mom or anything, and especially the lone mothers,
Yes.
they get it hard. I mean, me, oh gosh, I am so grateful. I must say this. I'm really blessed. Being a lone mom, raising 5 kids, with 2 being special needs, it is not easy. But I have a powerful community behind me. I have my church. And this is another thing I tell people, you don't have to be alone. You have to find something.
Yes.
I do community work. I do volunteer. I have a backing of community, of good, loving people behind me. So it's impossible for you to see me depressed that much. It's impossible for you to see me like being low and stay there for as long. No, it cannot happen because I'm very surrounded by very, very, very genuine. And that's another thing, we don't have genuine. Even at school, we have teachers bullying our children. Because one of my daughters, I was speaking to that time, she went through a system where the teacher was bullying her. But you know me, being me, I'm a life coach and I have a friend who is a psychotherapist. So you know, we would like, I literally made sure that the teacher gave so many evidence. That's what I did because I had the patience and I knew the kind of parenting I was doing to my kids.
Yes.
And I knew that no matter what she did, she will not break the spirit.
Absolutely.
So I kept telling my child how to behave, how to conduct herself. There was even an incident, a time where my daughter came out of school. But as a parent, you would think, yeah, come home. No, I told my daughter, said, go back to school, find another teacher, let them know what happened, and you stay there. I'm not having you at home because as far as I'm concerned, you're supposed to be at school. So I quickly emailed to say, why is my daughter calling me and she's out of the school? But that was a child protection issue because anything could have happened.
Absolutely.
So I'm sending you guys my kids at school, but she's out. What's going on? But see, that's the right way to behave. But other parents will probably feel like, yeah, my kid's home. So you have to understand, and this is exactly what I'm trying to say. If you don't get involved and you do not understand how things work where you are in the nation, where you are in education, in anything you do, you will be overreacting.
Absolutely.
And where people could have helped you, they will not be able to help you because you don't know what you're talking about. You probably just go next to neighbor and say, hey, just do this and do that. Oh, they're just being racist. We need to stop throwing the race card, by the way, in the United Kingdom. It's kind of like, it's old school. We know it exists.
Absolutely.
In a different ways. But you know what? Let's just not even think about it because there's racism everywhere. So we just need to learn how we can all work together, have a common ground that we can all work together and sort out the next generation, the future of the kids who are killing themselves, who are dying, dropping. I'm tired of coming on Facebook.
Yeah, because that's all you see.
I am tired of coming on Facebook.
Absolutely.
Because every day somebody's being stabbed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, talking about somebody being stabbed is great. But I want to talk about what is causing, it, and what is the solution. So for me, I say the solution is first to get parents, and the second thing is quickly grab all those other parents who have younger kids and start already educating them so that you can prevent them from ending up being like those who are already on the way out. That's
prevention is better than cure, as they say.
It is very important because even now, even like with one of my male son, his friends, he knows he's not supposed to go out and play during school unless it's the holiday. They'll come knocking on the door, and sometimes I'll walk and I'll see them say, guys, go home. Oh, we're just playing. I say, you got school tomorrow. 7. What are you doing now? And then in a very nice way, bless them. Sometimes they will listen for 5 minutes and then they will all go home. Because I'll tell them, do you know what? There's been stabbing going around. There's a lot going around. So you guys need to go home. You really do need to. So I take every kid now as my child because I feel it's my responsibility. Because I understand some parents don't have the time. You know, they do this and they do that. And the best time, the only time they have is when the kid is out. Please, let's really be careful on that. Because whose house is your kids going to?
Who are they with?
Who are they with? You know the friends, you know the parent. I make sure that I know the parents of their friends.
And you have their phone numbers, you have their address.
I know where they live in case of anything.
Absolutely.
Because there was an incident that almost happened. One of his friends went to the house. I knew the parents and everything, but they drove off somewhere. And I didn't know. So I went knocking, nobody was there, so I was a bit concerned. So I waited and he come back and he's like, oh, we just went off, and I said, no. So I didn't have a go at those parents, but it's my son that I told him, said, whatever, you cannot get on no one's car. I don't care if I know them. You can't get on the car and drove off without letting me know where you're going. Come home, tell me, and then I will know that, yeah, this is where you lot are going. Do I make myself clear? So he was like, oh, yeah. So these are the things that you just have to do. Some people will just look at it like, oh, it's okay. It's not okay. You have to teach them, because if they can do it like that with those that you know, how many more with those that they don't know?
Absolutely.
And before you know it, your next door neighbor could smile at you, but you don't really know what's in the heart.
Absolutely.
So you always have to be careful. You always have. So for me, again, always sending kids out. I'm gonna say this, and people will agree with me. People will not agree with me. Sending your kids out always to play, so that you can have freedom and do your own things. Maybe drink or watch Netflix. Is a form of abuse.
Yeah, it's neglect.
This is for me, okay? I've said it, quote it, Nina Naya Cabeza from the Nina Cabeza Live Show. I've said it. It's abuse. Not being able to know anything about the schooling of your children, homework, reading book, signing them, and all those things, it's a form of abuse, neglect. If you don't know it, you're not doing your parenting. Then why on the heaven did you give birth to those children? Was it for the social worker to take care of them, or for the government to take care of them? So we need to start taking responsibility.
Yes.
And stop thinking, oh, there's people out there that will do whatever. No, there is no one out there that's going to raise your child but you. If you let your child to be raised by the society, you're making it even harder for the society. They have tons of other things they can do. Our children don't have parents. Let us raise them. We don't want to raise kids who've got parents. If you know you're not able to have children, you shouldn't be having children. So why I'm talking about this, because abuse, like I said, abuse is not just sexual. What we're talking about is abuse. Leaving your kids in the hands of authority is abuse. Unless, of course, it's a child protection issue, then we have to take the kids away. And these are the things that we do. So before I go on any further, let me just check, because I put down all the notes, because I want to make sure that I've asked you all the questions, because I've got some things for you.
There was a question you asked me, though, and then we went on to something else.
Please.
It was about, just before, I can't quite remember, let me just see if I can remember, just before you were talking about body abuse, and, you know, not spending time with your children. You mentioned that was abuse.
Was it about the financial abuse?
Yes, so you mentioned the financial abuse. We've mentioned the physical abuse, the sexual abuse, because I think
there's verbal abuse as well.
The verbal abuse.
Yes, that's
so
the one.
verbal abuse is things like
calling your children names and
calling them names. Absolutely.
So why
as a form of bullying?
Why
and absolutely abuse?
Then answer me. Why do you think? Because I was called names.
So was I.
And you know, every now and then, I know it's like
comes back.
It doesn't even comes back. I've been fighting it off my head, so it doesn't really matter. That's all gone, because I had to do a lot of mental.
But then you've had to do a lot of mental to make sure that that doesn't come back.
That doesn't come back.
And when it comes back, you're able to.
I know what to do.
And exactly.
I know what to do. I know how to say whatever.
Yeah.
Gone. Because there was so many people in my life, and I think, bless them, I personally don't think they meant any harms to it, but it just they were not educated to understand that your words to a child really carries
a lot of
heavy.
Weight. Absolutely.
You know, it's very, very weighty, because we're kids, we're looking up on you, you're the grown-ups. When you say things like you're stupid, you will amount to nothing, or look at you,
and comparing them to their siblings as well. That's another thing that parents tend to do.
They compare.
Why can't you be like your brother? Why can't you be like your sister?
Yeah.
Look at her, she's just sitting there all nice, and you're just running around. Why are you just running around? Why can't you sit like her?
I've always been compared. I think my whole family watching the show will definitely know. I'm the wild one, having 5 kids with 5 different men. You know, I've always been compared. Why are you like this? Well, I was like that because everybody now know I was abused and I was crying out on the inside, but nobody could hear me because everybody was too busy abusing me on top of already crying out of being abused. So these are the kind of things, and these are the things that people don't talk about. See, I'm talking about it now. I'm cool, I'm relaxed, I'm collected. You know, there's not tears because I'm in a place of power. but he took me a while to get here.
Yes.
This is what people don't understand.
And you mentioned about relationship as well, how
Yeah.
every time they cheated,
I
you had to leave and you felt
Yeah.
like it was abuse.
Yeah.
And that is because of the power,
Yeah.
the control. So when you're being abused, when you're being raped, whatever
Yeah.
kind of
I was
abuse
young.
financially,
It's like a bit like with Kevin. Like
Absolutely.
he said, he was young. You did not have the power.
you don't have any power.
To do anything.
No power, no
but
control.
now I have control. I have the power. You cheat on me. I don't want you in my life.
Yeah.
Because you are abusing me.
Yeah.
You are raping me all over. But this time you're trying to take my spiritual
Yeah.
virginity. So no. So that's the power.
That's
It's like,
the power
so I
you have.
take my power back.
Yes.
To say no. And I think those are the things with most abuses when you go through. You have the powers. You just don't want anyone to do anything to you. And some people think, oh, you know, you're overdoing it. No, there's not overdoing it, because you will not understand, you know, how it feels for somebody to take something
Absolutely.
that was supposed to be yours and you don't have any sort of like saying to it. So yeah, so that's just like a bit like, well, oh gosh, is that the time already? That's very interesting. So we are almost talking. Is there any last word that you want to say before I sort of like do my final roundup?
I think for me, it's just communication with your children as much as you can.
Yeah.
Communicate with them.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, we've mentioned different types of abuse. Realize that you as a parent, you are the one. Your children are a blessing to you,
Yeah.
but they're not yours to keep.
Yes.
They're yours to give back to the world.
Yes.
So whatever it is that you make with them, whatever it is that you put into them is what they're going to take into the world, and it's going to affect everybody around them, whether they come into contact with, you know, the relationships they get into, how they react to their peers, how they react to their teachers in school, how they're going to communicate in the job place, in the career world. You know, you as a parent, you have that power, and the power is so immense. And I just want parents to realize the amount of power they have, use it wisely.
Yeah.
Not to hurt them, not to abuse them, not to hit them, because of the harm that it can cause them and the society, because they're going to go into the world and they're going to affect everybody.
Yes.
So that is what we as parents can do. Try and raise the children the best we can without hurting them physically. Communicate with them and try and see things from their point of view as much as possible.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tina. So before we go any further, I'm just going to play this particular, you know, show for you. It's still about my single, Love You. It's already out there. I will tell you to go and get it. And then I'll come back, give you my final thoughts, and then we'll say our goodbyes. Thank you.
Love me, hey, won't you stop? It doesn't matter what happens, hey, love.
Hi, my name is Naya V. That's my artist name. I live in Hounslow, but originally from Democratic Republic of Congo. I'm a mother of 5 beautiful children, and my influences are Tina Turner, Madonna, Whitney Houston, and Aretha Franklin. The single is called Love You, and it's a song that I wrote when I was going through challenges of life. So I had to love myself. So that's what really the single is, and I hope you guys are gonna love it. Thank you. Back. Hey, welcome back. Look at us. We are just so on our socials just to make sure we are tweeting to everybody. Say, come on, you need to watch this. It's very important. So yes, we are definitely back. And I'll first of all like to say thank you to my guest, Dr. Celestina Onye Thomas. Onye, listen, what's the double barrel? Onye Thomas. I know Onye is Nigerian. What about the Thomas? Where's that coming from?
The Thomas
are you married
is
to a white person?
Is no.
Oh, really?
Is my husband's name.
Oh,
but
really?
no, he's not white.
Oh.
He is. He's half Jamaican, half Brazilian.
Oh, la, la, la. That's a strange mix.
Yeah, what, the Brazilian Jamaican
Yeah.
one? Yeah, it's an interesting mix. Yeah.
No wonder the kids had they look beautiful, handsome. Handsome 2 kids, I tell you. So thank you so much for coming today. And I'm just going to round up just like a final thoughts, really. I want to touch on what Celestina said, that we raise our children not for us. The only for us in a small moment, but after a while they will have to go out there in the world. We have so many people being hurt, me being one of them, and other people also being one of them, from kids, be it female or male, who were not raised properly, and then they went out in the world and they're just doing damaging upon damaging, collateral damage basically, and it's not nice. It's very not okay. It's not fair on we who raise good kids, and our kids now have to come out there and meet your kids that you don't care about raising, and then they're gonna cause those problems to our kids. But thank God, we now have parents like myself and Tina who teaches our kids how to be resilient and how to stand up on bullies and how not to take anything. That when you see somebody acting up, it means they have a deeper issue that they're not talking about. So try to help them to open up as opposed to flame up and argue with them. So that's just kind of like the final say. So abuse, like I said, you're always going to work, leaving your kids at home by themselves to feed themselves when they are under 18 is abuse. Without having an adult in the house is abuse. I don't care whether they're 15 or 17. I'll leave my kids with my mom, or I'll get an adult to be in the house. It is an abuse. And if we don't talk about these things, you know, nobody else is going to talk about it. But somebody has to brave up and talk, because we want to start building a better, strong community. But we will start with our home. That's why this month is a family lesson. Like I said, I'm not teaching you how to raise your kids, but I'm bringing you guys insight on how you can build a better family home. And my brother's book, Running Away From Me, is already out on Amazon. Please go and purchase it. That's him right there at the back. As you can see, serious man. He smiles. He's just a little bit serious. Kevin, if you're listening to me, you need to, you know, your next book, make sure you're smiling. So yeah, he's a very lovely chap. He's very approachable. Read the book, then give him the feedback. I've already given you my feedback. I love it. It's amazing. Celestina, she's there. You know, I've tagged on my Facebook. If you go to the Nina Kabesa live show, you see it there on the Facebook. Everything has been tagged. Floating counseling. As a Christian, as an African, remove the taboo, that thing that we do not have to talk about our business. No, you don't have to tell me what happened, but let's just talk. Let it off your head, put it on the paper, and off you go. She's a Christian, I'm a Christian, and remember, I always keep saying this to people, not all Christians are called to be serving in the church. That's another thing as well, absolutely, that we have as a Christian. Some of us are called to be here in the mainstream doing the things that we're doing, but nevertheless, it does not mean that we are not Christians. So all of you who are being called to be working in the church, God bless you, but don't behave like you are holier than thou. You know, it's just no point, because everybody has been given a proportion of grace to operate where God has sent them to. The question is, when you find where you are, you will not be too busy looking at where the other person is, because your focus is on where God has placed you. So that's us for today, Tina and myself. I have one last final clip which I'm gonna do, and when that's finished, then it's definitely finished. So from me and Tina, we would like to say thank you for listening to us, and to everyone who's ever been abused or still is going through an abuse, there are information that's going to come now after this show. Go call those people. They're going to be at the end of the line to help you, or you can email me at ninalogy@gmail.com. So have a blessed weekend, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.
My sexual assault and my rape, because I know there are many men as well as many women, as well as many transgendered, who are sexually assaulted and raped every day. And it's painful and sickening that these people are not given a voice and have to live with this pain, and in some cases feel ashamed what happened to them, but it's not their fault. And I applaud those who have survived this and continue to live their lives with their heads up high. And to those who aren't able to lift their heads up high, I know that one day they will, and they will continue to deal with it, and we will get through it.
If you have been affected with today's program, or you yourself have been a victim of an abuse and you needed somebody to talk to, please contact any one of these numbers on the screen now, and somebody will be on the other side to help you.
Abuse brought confusion in my soul.
Hi, welcome to the Nina Cabeza Life Show.
Hey, 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 Special dedication to each and every one